Okay, so get this. We're diving into this story, and it's a big one, about this collaboration, and it just screams like game changer. It's like, imagine, right, a future where like cancer, autoimmune diseases, even those super rare diseases might have a whole new kind of treatment. And that's what this Factor Bioscience and Eterna Therapeutics partnership is all about.
Yeah, what's so interesting here is this partnership, it's bringing together like two really powerful areas of medicine, right?
Mm.
Cell therapy, and then you've got gene editing. Like you've got all the pieces you need to build something incredible, but now you've also got the instructions to build it exactly how you need it.
I like that. So for those of us who, didn't go and get that doctorate in bioengineering, break it down. Who are these guys? Factor Bioscience, Eterna Therapeutics.
So Factor, think of them like the engineers of the cell world. They're like masters, right, at gene editing. So making super precise changes to a cell's DNA. And then cell reprogramming, which is basically they can take one cell type and like turn it into a completely different one. It's next level stuff.
Wow. And Eterna, they're the ones using this like cellular magic to go after these really tough diseases, right?
Yeah, exactly. So their big thing is they're developing what they call off-the-shelf cell therapies. It means that the treatments are ready to go. They don't have to be made from scratch for each patient. And that's a huge deal for things like those really hard to treat cancers where time, it's like everything.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, this all sounds amazing, but let's like get real for a sec. Why is this specific collaboration such a big deal?
Right. Yeah. So it's not just two companies, working together. It's like this really carefully thought out agreement to make sure these treatments, these potentially life-saving treatments, get developed as quickly as possible. And this kind of partnership, it's becoming more and more common in biotech because it allows like a smaller company, but a super innovative one like Eterna to work with and use the resources of a larger company like Factor.
It's like a strategic alliance then.
Yeah, exactly. They can share the risks and it just makes things move faster.
Makes sense. Now, this press release mentioned something called iPSCs, and I gotta say, my inner science geek like totally perked up at that. So, what are induced pluripotent stem cells, and why are they important?
Okay, so imagine a cell, and this cell can basically transform into almost any other cell in your body. It's kind of like a stem cell, but like way more flexible. And that's what iPSCs are.
Interesting.
They're kind of like, those really adaptable stem cells you have in your bone marrow, the ones that make all of the different types of blood cells, iPSCs, they can potentially become any cell type.
Wow. So, are you saying that Factor has the tools to engineer these cells, and Eterna can then take those cells and turn them into treatments? Is that what makes this so powerful?
You got it. And that's actually where the gene editing comes in. See, Factor, they're experts at this. So they can like precisely program these iPSCs, like guide them to become the specific cells they need for each treatment. It's pretty amazing.
It's like a cellular task force. Now, I have to ask about this because I saw it in the press release. This lead product, Erna 101. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It kind of is when you really think about it. So Erna 101, it's designed to go after this thing called the tumor microenvironment. It's basically like the ecosystem that surrounds a tumor. It's really complex.
Okay.
And sometimes it can actually like shield cancer cells from your immune system.
So this Erna 101, it helps to like break down those defenses.
Yes, exactly. So it basically gives your immune system this boost and helps it to actually see and then target those cancer cells that might have been hidden before.
Wow. And I think they're initially focusing on some really aggressive types of cancer, right? The ones
Yeah.
that are usually resistant to traditional treatment.
Exactly. It mentioned triple-negative breast cancer and platinum-resistant TP53 mutant ovarian cancer.
Okay, so triple negative breast cancer, I've heard of that one, but can you break that other one down for me? What makes those cancers so difficult to treat?
Sure. So both of those are known to be very aggressive and difficult to treat. Triple-negative breast cancer doesn't respond to some of the most common hormonal therapies, making it trickier to target. And that TP53 mutant ovarian cancer refers to mutations in a gene called TP53, which normally helps to stop tumor growth. When TP53 is mutated, it can't do its job as effectively, allowing those cancer cells to grow more rapidly and become resistant to treatments like platinum-based chemotherapy.
Wow. Yeah, that's not good, which is why this new approach is potentially so groundbreaking. But let's be clear, like this isn't just two guys who are buddies making an agreement. We're talking about like a formal collaboration with some serious terms.
Oh, absolutely. This is huge. Eterna gets the exclusive global rights to develop and actually market
Hmm.
these specific iPSC-based cell therapies. It's a big deal. It means they can take this research and turn it into treatments that actually help people.
And what about Factor? They're not just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, are they?
Noah, come on. This is biotech, right? Everyone's got to be a little bit savvy. Factor's going to get these payments, these milestone payments, as the therapies, as they hit these goals. And and this is big if the products actually make it to market, we're talking royalties here. It's smart, right? Make sure everyone's motivated, both sides, to make this thing really work.
It's like, what's that saying? A rising tide lifts all boats. But in this case, like the rising tide, it's potentially like this wave of medical breakthroughs.
I love that. And here's the really exciting part, right? It's not just about treating these specific cancers. It's the platform it creates, right? You can use iPSCs to develop all kinds of new therapies for all sorts of diseases. It's like a real shift in how we think about medicine. Instead of just managing symptoms, you're going after the root cause of the disease.
Okay, yeah. No, you've got my mind going now. So if we're talking about like this whole spectrum of diseases, what else could be on the table? I mean, we've got cancer, we've got autoimmune disorders, what else?
Well, okay, imagine, right, using iPSCs to repair organs that have been damaged by things like, Parkinson's or Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
or even diabetes, where, certain cells aren't working how they should. You could theoretically just replace those damaged cells with healthy ones, basically hitting the pause button on the disease. Or even reversing it.
Okay, now that is like science fiction becoming reality, but let's bring it back down to earth for a minute here. This Factor Eterna deal, it's about more than just developing these treatments, right? It's about making sure people can actually get them.
Oh, 100%. A big part of this whole thing is they want to make off-the-shelf therapies, because right now, a lot of cell therapies, they're personalized. They're made using the patient's own cells, which is groundbreaking, don't get me wrong. But it takes forever, and it is crazy expensive.
So off the shelf means it's ready to go. I can just buy a new phone and it just works.
Exactly. Think about getting a blood transfusion. They don't have to go and find a perfect match for your blood type every single time.
Right.
They've got a bank, right? It's ready. That's the goal with these off-the-shelf cell therapies. They're ready to go, and potentially, way more affordable.
Yeah.
So way more people can get them.
See, now that's what I'm talking about. That changes everything. Faster development, potentially cheaper, and more people can get it. It all sounds, incredibly promising. But gotta be real, right? We're still in the early stages. What kind of roadblocks, what kind of challenges do you think we might run into with this tech as it, keeps developing?
Oh, for sure. And it's important to, stay grounded, right? One of the biggest hurdles with any new medical technology, but especially with something as complex as this, cell therapy, is safety. Because iPSCs, right, they can theoretically become any cell. So there's this risk, even if it's small, that they could, divide too much. You don't want that. You don't want tumors. So researchers, they're constantly working on ways to control these iPSCs really, really precisely, make sure they only become the cells they're supposed to and nothing else.
It's you gotta make sure these cells, they're super powerful, but they don't go rogue, right?
Exactly. And that's why the testing, the monitoring, it has to be super rigorous, the whole way through, from the initial research to clinical trials. That's how we make sure these things are safe and that they actually work.
Okay, so safety first. Got it.
Okay.
What about cost? Developing these therapies, even now, it's not cheap.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Right now, yes, these therapies, they can be really expensive to develop and to make, which could definitely be a problem, in the beginning. However, as the research gets better, as the technology gets better, those costs, they should go down. It's think about computers, right? Or smartphones. Remember when they first came out?
Yeah.
Crazy expensive. But the tech got better, and now everyone and their mother has one.
Yeah, it's that classic early adopter pricing, right? And then eventually everyone can afford it.
You got it. And we're already seeing that happen with these other cell therapies, More companies are getting into it, more competition, production gets more efficient, the costs come down.
So it's a bit of a waiting game, but the payoff, it could be huge.
Huge. And it's not just about, treating diseases that people already have. This tech, it could totally revolutionize preventative medicine. Think about it. What if we could tell who's at risk for a disease, just based on their genes or how they live? With this iPSC technology, we could create therapies for them before they even get sick.
Whoa, slow down. We talk about stopping diseases before they even start. That's next level.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild, right? Instead of just
Yeah.
reacting to a disease, you're like, nope, not going to happen. It really could change everything.
It's amazing, right? It's like every time we like peel back a layer of this, there's something even crazier underneath. This factor Eterna thing, it's just one piece of this like giant, constantly moving puzzle. But it's a big piece, don't you think?
100%. And I think it shows just how much potential cell therapy has.
Yeah.
Like to completely rewrite how we think about healthcare. I mean, we're not just treating symptoms anymore. We're going after the root cause at the cellular level. It's a really, really amazing time to be like following all this.
Feels like we're, I don't know, on the edge of a revolution in medicine. And this collaboration, it's right there, leading the charge.
Yeah.
So as we, start to wrap this up, what's the one thing you want our listener to take away from all this today?
I think the biggest thing is this. The future of medicine, it's all about cells. We have these tools now, right? We can understand and like actually manipulate the basic building blocks of life. It's insane. And yeah, there are going to be challenges, but the possibilities, way too big to ignore.
A future with like actual hope for treating these awful diseases. And listen, if you're listening to this and you're like as blown away by all this as we are, this is just the beginning. There's so much more going on in cell therapy, and do yourself a favor and go and check it out. This factor Eterna thing, it's a big first step in what's going to be like an insane journey.